Planet Magazine.
Also known as Wednesday 13. Welcome to Brutal Planet Magazine.
Welcome to Brutal Planet Magazine.
All cultural video. Welcome to Brutal Planet Magazine.
You're listening to Brutal Planet.
Hey, what's up, everybody? CJ Pierce here from Toronto Pool, and you listen to Brutal Planet Media right here. Get yourself.
Hey, I'm Steve from Within the Ruins, and this is Brutal Planet.
Greetings, Brutal Planet. We're live tonight with the guys from the band Distances. Guys, how are you doing?
Good. Hello.
Yo.
Hey, thank you guys so much for taking the time to do this tonight. I know it's probably not something you're doing a whole ton, but just to give people kind of the background, and it's pretty rare that I just see a band and invite them on. Most of the time we get like a request from PR or something like that. But I saw you guys play at the launch pad the other night, and I was just totally blown away by your performance and been listening to the new album since. So I guess just to get things started, kind of tell me your origin story a little bit. Like, how did you guys come together? However you want to tell it.
Okay. So we were both in bands a long time ago. I started a band when I was in high school in like early 2000s. And Pete was in another band at the time. We played with them. And then we lost our drummer. Oh, that band, I guess, was -7 was the name of that band. We lost our drummer and knew Pete was awesome. And so asked Pete to join. And I don't know how long we did that band for, but Pete was in that band with us, -7, for a long time. Or I don't know.
Were you guys like high school age, junior high? Like, when did you guys start doing that?
Yeah, so early 2000, I think maybe is when that started. I mean, I started, I guess, freshman year of high school. So, 98 or something. But that was that band didn't really ever do anything. We were just high school. I played at school,
Yeah, yeah.
And, but it wasn't like maybe like junior year of high school for me is when the other band kind of started maybe playing at like actual places and actual venues. And so, yeah, we were in that was just like a metalcore band. We started as a bunch of different things, but that was what we were doing for a while. Yeah. And then at a certain point, I'm not sure, I'm real bad with dates and timelines. So
No worries.
yeah. So basically once -7 was ending, which we were probably together for, I don't know, 10 years. I don't know, how long do you think?
Oh, wow.
-7 did stuff.
Yeah, it was a while. I was the grandpa of the band, though. They were probably more like just out of high school or whatever, but I felt like I was more college age kind of deal.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah, when I must have been in college when that band broke up, and I had gotten asked to play bass. I was playing bass in that band. I play guitar now in Distances. But I was playing bass, and this band called Mechanism of Eve, which is another local band with friends that we knew. They had lost a bass player. They needed a bass player. So they hit me up, and I was like, I'd rather play guitar because I've been playing bass for a long time. And they were like, okay. So it's like, oh crap. so then I had to get guitar stuff because I didn't really have a lot of guitar gear. And so yeah, joined that. During that whole part, Pete had set up his drum set in our practice space. And me, Pete, and the singer of that band started a side project. And so then when Mechanism of Eve, we lost a drummer again. Pete was already in the room. Pete was already a good drummer. So we were just like, let's Pete, come join this band.
Yeah.
And so at that point, like, it was like 3 of the 5 members were doing the side project, which was definitely way more post-metal than what they were doing, I guess. And they were like, hey, we like I think we had like 2 or 3 songs on that side project, and they were like, we like those songs. can we learn those and play those? And then we're like, yeah. Should we change our name? And then we changed it to Distances, and then that's pretty much how Distances started. Again, I'm not sure. I don't know when that was, but it's probably 15 years ago. I don't. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's been a while, man. It's just this like incestual thing where like bands of other members get with bands of other members, and you could have this like conspiracy theory red yarn, push pin wall, like this member was in this band and this band. And yeah, we eventually ended up with who we ended up with, based on like probably the happenstance of like 4 of the bands breaking up.
But the two of you guys have been playing together for a long time, it sounds like. So you guys kind of know each other real well.
We've been in like, 3 or 4 bands at this point, something like that. And Distances has been going for definitely like a decade and a half, I think.
Yeah.
Dang.
And even before, like, we were playing show, my -7 and his other band, Wisdom of the Leech, we were playing shows together all the time too. So even before we started playing, like we knew who each other were for a really long time.
Yeah, live you guys are very tight, so it's pretty evident that you've been playing together. Like you guys know each other.
Yeah. Cool. Thanks.
Yeah. Much appreciated, man. Thanks.
Yeah, it's really cool for me to see a band like you guys that I'd never heard of and go, oh my God, these guys are amazing. So yeah. Well, the other thing I wanted to ask you guys about a little bit is the name. How did that come about? Is there any like kind of meaning behind that, or like?
No.
No.
It was kind of a drunken like dart throwing at a list at my place, I think.
Yeah.
I think everybody came up with like their list of top 10, and we like whittled it down, right, Carl?
Like once we merged those two, the side project and the other band, and we're like, it's going to be a little different. We're like, let's change the name and start kind of fresh. We just had a brainstorming hangout at Pete's house, and I think we had a list, and we were like, I think this was probably the top one that wasn't already another band or something,
Yeah.
And it seemed like it was more of like we had more instrumental clean kind of sections in our music back then. So we knew we kind of wanted to have like an ethereal post kind of vibe to us, I guess. I don't know. Sounds pretty pretentious to say.
Yeah. No. I think the name is great, and I love the logo too. Did one of you guys draw that up, or did you have someone?
So it's funny you say that, man, because both artists, or Carl and I are both artists, so we do album covers and T-shirts and all kinds of shit. But are we allowed to cut? Sorry.
Oh yeah, say whatever you want.
Okay. All right, cool. No, Rodney Ibarra is a calligrapher that I had come across online. He actually was a local dude in Albuquerque for a long time. He has since moved away, but he does these ambigrams that are insane, right? So it can be, if you flip it, 180 degrees, it basically reads the same way each direction. And so hit him up, and he killed it. We're totally happy with it. So that was how that happened.
That's really cool. So you can flip it over and it says the same thing. I didn't even notice that yet.
Yeah, but I remember I used that to effect when I was like screwing with our Scaling album. I didn't know what to do for like a video graphic, so I just like literally rotated the whole logo, and it matched up this way, and then a couple seconds later it matched up that way. So hopefully people could see, hey, our logo could be red.
Yeah, that's super cool. Also, the name Distances kind of connotates some kind of like time and space thing, so it makes sense.
Yeah, we wanted a post-metal name, and that fit pretty well. So yeah. I love that you guys are using the term post-metal, because it like you guys are heavy as hell, but you do stuff that's like reminds me of bands like ISIS or Neurosis, or like Pelican or like Russian Circles, like some of those kind of more, I guess.
That's a great company to be in. Yeah, hell yeah.
Right. Cult of Luna was a big one when I discovered them. That's really kind of my gateway to post metal. and then another band called Giant. They changed it to like Brave Young eventually at some point. I don't think they're still doing stuff, but those are the two big ones for me that like, and Rosetta, I guess, that like really got me into post metal, and that's what made me want to start playing this type of music, you know.
Yeah, I wouldn't like without you guys saying that. I mean, I try to keep it pretty basic because there's so many people like, well, that's metalcore and that's this and that. I'm like, it's just heavy music. It's just metal.
Right.
Yeah. That's why I usually
can't keep up with the genre.
Yeah. But one of the things that's so appealing about you guys is that you're doing something that's not super common right now. Like everybody's doing like the gent type thing. And so I was really like you guys almost, there's also like elements of Tool, I think, like just a very, I guess Tool might even be responsible for a lot of the post metal stuff now that I think about it. But
yeah, perhaps. Yeah.
What are some of your individual influences as far as music goes? Like what made you decide to pick up an instrument?
Well, you know,
going way back.
I was in band. I was in concert band and marching band in high school, and then before that, like my parents made me and my brother and sister all take piano lessons. So like I took piano for a really long time growing up. My dad's a musician. My mom's dad is a musician. So, you know, I was into music and was doing music at a very young age. So that's probably what started it. You know, it was all classical music and marching band and stuff. So, you know, the metal stuff came later, high school and whatnot. But yeah, that's pretty much what started me, I guess.
Okay. Any specific drummers or anything that made you dive into it, Pete? Like any influential names you'd call out?
I mean, early on, it was like my journey was kind of Metallica was the gateway drug for me, you know, and then it was a slippery slope really fast into like Deicide or something. You know what I mean? It was just like it went like Metallica, Slayer, Morbid Angel, Deicide, and I just went in as fast and hard as I could, I think, for a while. You know, I think drummers that really, really stick out for me, man. Gosh, I don't know. That's really tough. That's really tough to say. I think it would just be those kind of early influences. Even though I don't really drum like any of them, you know, like
no.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons.
I think that's kind of the case with, especially with Carl and I. When you talk about bands that influenced us early, I was way more drawn to the kind of crazy punk. I don't know that, like we talked about post metal and genres and shit. I don't really know what to call anything. So like whatever Converge and Norma Jean and like that. Do you know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
Kind of,
yeah. Like those. We were talking the other day about how underrated 2000s metal is. Because you have bands like that I don't like, most people don't even think like Lamb of God and Converge and Norma Jean, you know, that were huge throughout the 2000s, and it's like it's kind of like an afterthought now with bands like Slipknot and stuff like that. But I think I was totally into all that stuff. So
yeah, and actually Carl was responsible for getting me into the crazier side of that with like Ed Gain and like Daughters and just weird. Crazy the Locust like shit, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I feel like as I'm getting older, I gravitate towards like those two camps. Like I yearn for the craziest, like I like End I love right now, and then whatever the last Opeth album is where he's singing. Do you know what I mean? It's like he's really that dichotomy of I don't know, but there you have it.
No, it's I'm curious just because you guys' music is so unique. So I'm trying to get a feel for maybe like, you know, what you're blending, what kind of styles you're blending together and stuff. Let me ask you about the Albuquerque scene, because I'm somewhat new to Albuquerque, and it's just such a metal town, man.
Yeah.
Do you guys get like, how would you, I guess, describe the scene here? Is there a lot of camaraderie among bands? Is there you'll see a lot of the same faces at shows, that kind of thing?
Yeah, I think so. I feel out like out of the scene a little bit. Like, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely changed because we've been around for quite a bit. Like, you know, I feel like it went from, you know, I feel like in the early days we would play a show where it was like some hardcore bands and some metal bands, and then there was always a fight where someone was trying to mosh and some hardcore guys wanted to dance, and so there was that kind of separation there, you know. And now it's like, I mean, the show we played just the other night was an all ages show, and you know, people were moshing around and trying to dance. It was just mixed, and then people would knocking into the merch booth, but then helping each other up, and like everyone was cool, like no fighting, like it's so. I feel like it's definitely changed to be more like everybody's pretty chill and cool with everybody, I think, but
It's more inclusive.
yeah. And yeah, it's a great scene. There's not even just for metal, like for lots of stuff. Albuquerque has a lot of great musicians and stuff and bands. It's very good.
Yeah, I feel like I could open the paper every night and there's something, or like load up like Facebook or something. There's a show.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, Pierre.
Yeah, for sure. And I remember back in the day, like just the Sunshine being packed for, you know, if Sepultura seemed like they were here, like this was back in the Max days, like Sepultura, they seemed like they were here every month, you know. You'd have Fear Factory coming through, Machine Head, Chimera, like that was like, at least that's when I was down in the pit. Like now I'm some old crusty fuck up in the bar. Do you know what I mean? Like wanting to watch.
I relate.
Yeah,
I can totally relate, man.
Yeah. And I respect the musicians so much more, so I want to see what's going on, you know. But back in the day when you would dance, those bands would come through, and Albuquerque would show up for sure, right?
Yeah, I came out here. I lived in LA for 25 years, and I came out here a couple years ago, and I saw Ministry. It was Ministry Prong, I think, and no, it was Ministry, Melvins, and Corrosion of Conformity.
Cool.
It was like one of the best shows. I don't even love all those bands. You know, I love COC is probably my favorite of all of them, but Ministry, you know, longtime fan of Ministry, and Melvins are great too. And it was just like, just the energy of the show was like so much fun. I got in the pit, my old ass, and you know, there was, you know, people were helping each other up to that point. I ended up hitting some guy on accident and having like apologizing, and we got a beer and stuff, and it was just like a really killer show. So
right. Now he's best man in your wedding. Yeah, right. And like in LA, you go to a show like at the Whiskey, for example, and it's like everyone's like, I could do that. You know, it's like all musicians.
That's excellent.
And no one just letting go and having fun. So I really dig that vibe about the shows here.
Yeah, for sure, man. That's funny. I never really. I mean, the main venues we seem to play or will go to shows when it comes to metal is like Launchpad and Sunshine, and it's very seldom you get the like, you know, standoffish. Yeah.
I haven't seen it here. I feel like people are more just like there to enjoy it, you know?
Yeah, I guess so.
The Launchpad is such a cool venue too, man. I walked by it a couple of times before I actually went in and like saw the room, and I'm just like, this is a really killer venue.
Yeah. It's been around.
Venue, killer sound.
Yeah. I mean, that was when I was in high school, that was the place to play, you know, that was the goal, was like, I remember the first show we played at the Launchpad, and it was like, we did it, you know?
Yeah.
It's still going. It's still going strong, which is great. You know, we've lost some good venues, but we've also gained some really good venues. And like, I feel like there's always a lot of like DIY venues popping up. So it's a good scene.
Albuquerque has such a cool spirit too. Like it's got a little bit of that kind of like Wild West vibe still that I don't feel like LA is great. I love LA. It's like, you know, I spent 25 years there. I better love it, you know, but it's just it's over. There's too many people. It's so crowded. And I feel like it's like here, there's much more of like an openness and like a willingness to kind of like maybe evolve stuff or like do new things and stuff. So
yeah, I agree.
Yeah, it's a little more slow paced, but you know, people call us Little LA out here too. So
yeah, I mean, man, the amount of dispensaries here, I'm just like, I love it. I'm blown away. I'm like, yes, every corner there's a dispensary. That's the kind of town I want to live in.
Right.
Well, let's talk about the album, man. It's a beast, and I've been listening to a lot of it. And I the name is Abtruse, which is basically like difficult to comprehend.
Right. Yeah.
And I mean, it's not difficult to comprehend, but it's very clear that there's a lot going on in your songs. How long did it take you guys to put this together?
I mean, well, this is the result of COVID lockdown. We played. What do we have? I think we had our last show was like in maybe that March before, maybe February. I can't remember, but it was like right before lockdown. So then we weren't practicing anymore. And then as we were kind of like waiting it out to see how things were going to go, Pete was like, "Hey, we could do stuff through FaceTime." And so we just kind of started doing that. And I was able to like sit with my guitar and record some, mess around with some riffs. And Pete would be like, "Hey, babe, maybe change this," and then I'd change it, and then I could record it and send it to Pete, and then he could put it to drum. Like, so we basically like mapped out. I think maybe we were working on 1 or 2 of the songs before lockdown, maybe. But it was really, really, it was not there yet. It had like a couple parts. So everything really got like fleshed out and, moved around and whatnot over FaceTime and stuff. And then once we started jamming together, that's pretty much what we started doing was like, can we play the songs together and what do we need to change and any of that stuff. So, I mean, at least 3 years? I don't know. How long did we work on the album for?
Yeah, COVID brain makes that a little tough, but like, yeah, it was literally like this, man, like like Zoom writing. It sucked with the delay. At first I was like, oh, maybe I can play drums to you playing guitar, but it was quickly realized that like that 2-second or 3-second delay absolutely obliterates any kind of So it was back and forth. Yeah. So it took a while.
But when you guys finally got into a room and like hacked everything out and fine-tuned it. When you started writing this, did you guys go into it with the idea that like, hey, we're kind of putting this all these things together in a common thread for like does the album tell a story or anything, or did it all just kind of naturally come together?
No, I think it usually naturally kind of comes together. I think the theme for the album usually comes with the lyrics, and luckily Pete wrote all the lyrics for this album. And like he always has really good concepts for lyrics. He always sends them with like this line. Here's what I'm referencing. Here's what So like we all understand like what the songs are kind of about.
That's
and then
great.
Once they're all pieced together, we kind of find an overall theme and whatnot. And the title for the album as well was like because of the last album before we were kind of like, let's expand from that last album or the EP, whatever, into this new one. So that's kind of how Pete came up with the album title again for that. But yeah, like and I think like, as far as like writing goes with like preconceived ideas, like it was not that. Like I definitely struggled for a while where I was like, we're a post-metal band. Like this is too death metal sound, and like I finally like was able to kind of just let go and I was like, I just fucking write cool shit. I don't care what genre it is, let's just write stuff that we like and it sounds good. And so I definitely think, that was most prevalent, at least for me, in this album. I think is where I just was like, let's just make some fun songs.
Yeah.
And Abtruse, I think, doesn't necessarily come from. Hopefully, the music is fairly easy to digest and understand. It stems from like the subject matter of what the songs are about, where they're seemingly understandable concepts of like people just hopefully being humans and being understanding, but for some reason nobody can comprehend these notions, and so it just comes across as this absolutely impossible to understand thing, where it seemed like to a lot of people, I feel like during that time, it was just super polarizing. You know what I mean? And nobody could understand anybody. Nobody seeing eye to eye. Everything was abstruse. You know. So I think that was kind of the crux of the, at least the lyrical content of it.
Yeah.
That's very Rush of you guys. That the drummers writing the lyrics.
Yeah.
Oh man, I wish. At least on drums. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of those things. I used to play in a band, and our drummer was like a huge Rush fan, and he wasn't the best lyrical writer, though. You know, he wasn't Neil Peart by any stretch. You know, so that's how I love that. And the other thing I think is cool about that is I found this dynamic with bands where it's like if there's one person in the band that's like the writer, so to speak, it's kind of like maybe the other members don't have the same like vibe or energy to match the song. And I feel like when you share it, that, you know, like you share with the band, like, hey, this is what the vibe I have for the song, and kind of like like where I'm going with it. Like it makes it so the rest of the band like shares in that, like that definite, that meaning of the song. And I feel like it makes the music so much more powerful.
Yeah. I think we're pretty collaborative, you know, we understand like if someone's like, this riff sucks, like I'm not bummed that we have to figure it out. Like anytime we have to fix something or change something, it's always for the better, I think, you know. And like again, in the past albums and EPs, like we've had like it was never just one person writing all the lyrics. Like we always would, like, you know, same things, because I'm the one screaming. Like I if there's something that feels weird for me to yell, it's like I'll change the lyric so that it works better for me, or that it makes more sense to me maybe. And, you know, Pete's not like, hey, you can't change that. So like, you know, we're pretty open to fixing and editing and whatnot.
Yeah. And that's where like putting down a little blurb of like, hey, this is what this song means. This is what this lyrical passage means. Because sometimes we're speaking in metaphors or just kind of like on purpose, not specifics.
Yeah.
So people can interpret as they see fit. Carl feels the need to change that. Do you know what I mean? But since he has like, hey, this is kind of what this passage was about, he's able to scream something that's, you know, we've developed that Dewey Decimal System to where he knows exactly what, at least where I'm coming from, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it helps a lot for like, just adjusting things, you know?
And that's like the best part of being in a band too, is that collaborative part of it. You know, it's like you can do a solo project and it's never going to be as cool as when you have those multiple creative inputs. So,
for sure.
Definitely.
What do you guys have on the horizon for the rest of the year? Any new stuff coming out? Any like big shows that we could call out or anything?
Nothing really. I mean, the next thing, I'm sure maybe stuff will pop up, but the next show, there's a local band called Crushed, and it's their like tour kickoff, and so we're gonna play that. That's like October 17th.
Okay.
And that's just gonna be a house show, so that should be pretty crazy. Yeah, that'll be fun, and it's with another band, Music Is the Enemy, that we're good friends with, and they're just always fun, and their fans are always so nice and fun. So like I'm sure that'll be a fun show. But yeah, as far as that, nothing's figured out. I mean,
we're in the middle of cutting a new music video. Hopefully that will be released soon.
Awesome.
Yeah.
It would be so cool to see you guys like on a major tour, you know, with like a big band. I feel like you guys are like so there, you know.
Man, thanks.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Also, we're a 3-piece, just so you know. Chris couldn't make it, unfortunately. Sorry about that, but
I wanted to mention that too, because that's another thing that I think is so cool. And it's like I mentioned Rush, but like you guys are kind of like the perfect kind of middle ground between like Rush and like Nirvana, you know, where it's like you have that technical edge, but it's not like to the point of a Rush. There's a lot more, like there's so much going on in the music. Like it has a lot of re-listen value, you know, and I love that. But it's also, to your point, it's like it's not too difficult to understand. It's not like, you know, super twisted mathcore or anything.
Right. Yeah. At the end of the day, where you still want to be able to drag a knuckle. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Have some just good, powerful grooves and yeah. The music is so fantastic though, and so I just want to make sure I communicate that to everybody that tunes in and yeah, man. Thank you guys so much for taking the time. I wanted to get to your show last week, but I'm still kind of getting my pulling my boots on, really, you know, like getting everything together after being here for a little bit. So I'm like almost to the point where I can like justify going out and spending money on beers and stuff again. But
cool.
Well, we hope to see you out there, man, and hit us up. Like, yeah, we'll go out with.
Absolutely, man. I'll definitely. I'm in Albuquerque. I'll be here indefinitely. So I'm gonna be getting out to a ton of stuff, and I'll definitely. I wanted to get out last week, but I'll definitely be checking you guys out again. And please come back through again when you guys have something new to talk about.
Okay.
A new record or something. And everyone should check out the record. It's the band is called Distances. A lot of you probably haven't ever heard these guys, and you need to. And the record's called Abtruse. It's available on streaming everywhere. You can get it on vinyl. Go to their Bandcamp.
Yeah.
Bandcamp,
Follow these guys on socials. And yeah.
Come to a show if we have a show.
Yeah, if you're in the Albuquerque area, get out there. But man, again, I'm gonna be like shouting on the rooftops about you guys. Like I would love nothing more than to see you guys like opening for Slipknot in a year or two or something. You know, like that'd be so amazing.
Yeah. Every now and then, man, we get lucky enough to be called on some cool national acts that come through. You know, but yeah, we appreciate it, man.
On the stage, man, you guys look like a polished national act, man. I'm not just blowing smoke up your ass. Like I wouldn't say that if I didn't mean it. So
cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys again so much for taking the time. I know, you know, it's like a Thursday night at 7. So I definitely appreciate you guys taking the time out, and everyone go listen to these guys' music, catch them live. Amazing stuff.
Awesome.
Right on.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you guys. We'll see you around.
All right, cool.
All right.
Keep it brutal, y'all.